Live streaming is taking a little time. Good evening and namaste to all the viewers of VTF. I welcome one and all for this evening. Uh, this evening's topic on our talk show with the nutritionist is micronutrients and their importance. Micronutrients, as the name suggests, might be needed in very small measures in our body, but they play a very vital role. We'll hear more about it from Dr. Sudarshan Rao, who's there with us today. Doctor, welcome. Namaste.
Yeah, thank you, and welcome again for one more episode of a nutritional awareness program, as a part of our VTF reaching the consumers. So today the topic, as you know, is on micronutrients. So we have been talking about in earlier this thing about carbohydrates, proteins, and also fats. So these are macro elements, because they are needed in a big quantities, maybe grams. Okay, so that's why they are called macronutrients. Then other than those things, there are very important things which we require for our normal growth and health, are called micronutrients. So as the name indicates, that they are required in micro quantities, and within that micronutrients we can classify them further into vitamins and minerals. Okay, so within the minerals, again, there are certain things which are required in trace quantities, that means very minute quantities, and some of them are required probably in milligrams. So there is a distinction between these two also within minerals also. So all this together, they are called micronutrients. They are actually essential, they are very critical for our growth and health. So they do a lot of activity, I mean important functions in our body, like I mean the forming the enzymes, hormones, and many other functions of body which are actually required for our normal growth and also health. So that's why we, though their requirement in terms of quantity is very low, but they are very critical for our health. And any deficiency of those things will be very severe. It will affect our health very severely. Sometimes it will be actually detrimental, and even for the they may actually uh, go to the extent of having, I mean, mortality also. Okay, so they are so important for our bodily functions. So the important thing that happens within these things is not only hormones and from these things, and also if any deficiency is there, because if you are not able to get that small quantity of micronutrient also, then the deficiencies will actually have overall effect on your this output, then also your mental capacity. Okay, the overall output also comes down very drastically, not only energy but even overall output also comes down. So this results, if you want to really see in your real life, the children or people who are actually studying, their scores may come down because educationally they may not be able to, outputs will not be matching their actual require this thing, outputs that you are expecting from them. And also yeah, overall weakness, all those things are actually, you can see them, but you may not have that very clinically observable serious effects. But so they are called subclinical cases. That's why when we are talking about nutrition, we classify them as a hidden hunger. That means you can't see them, but they'll be actually, the deficiency will be acting on your health, other things which you may not be able to actually pursue uh, unless you very carefully observe the persons who are actually having that type of deficiencies. So mostly when we are talking about deficiencies, there are three major deficiencies which are actually all over the world, and they were also there in India, and they're also there in India right now also. Their first thing is vitamin A deficiency. This vitamin A is required for your normal vision, and also immunity. So vitamin A is required, is a vitamin, and this is required for your normal vision and also immunity, right? So we used to have a lot of night blindness and a lot of loss of vision for children, other population earlier, maybe 50 years back, after government of India is doing that massive prophylaxis program where they give huge amounts of vitamin A doses to the children. So that's how we are able to reduce that deficiency to major extent. But still, for your daily requirement, you still have to. This is a on a day-to-day basis. You should be having these vitamins. So you should be able to get through your food. So, and the other important thing, of course, I should have told earlier is that they are not synthesized in our body. You have to get it from food only. So all these micronutrients have to come from outside only. Body cannot
Oh,
synthesize. Okay,
okay.
that's the reason why we always talk about the balanced diet and all those things, because you have to get them through these diets only. Okay, so the next one after vitamin A, the next one most important is that is the anemia, iron deficiency anemia. This was there, this is there, and even now it's a 50 to 70% of different populations will have, children, pregnant women, lactating women. Okay, so and almost general public also will have this are having these deficiencies. So this iron is required actually to for hemoglobin, and hemoglobin is the one which carries oxygen, for our body. So that's why whenever you have deficiency of iron, so these people will not be. They look very weak. They are easily fatigued, and then also they'll be struggling to take breath. So the breathing becomes very difficult for them because the oxygen it's not able to carry because there is no iron. There is a deficiency of iron. For this continue, and the another important thing is it has nothing to do with your socioeconomic status. So okay, so even in the rich people who are having who they think that they are having good quality food, good quality in terms of their perception, but from nutrition point of view they may not be having that. So that is the reason why, so deficiency is seen even among the poor and even among the rich also. So okay, so for that reason you should actually try to see your diets how far they are actually balanced for that. Okay, third important deficiency that we see is iodine deficiency. So iodine is required for thyroid. Many people who do not get enough of iodine, you can just see that their neck is swollen, you know, because of the hyperthyroidism, and that actually in turn produces hormones that are very essential for our body. And people who have some genetic defects in terms of hyper this thing also they may get into cretinism. Their mental faculties will not develop properly. Okay, so that's the reason why it is government of India what has they have done is that they are actually fortified your salt. This salt that you are getting now is
Iodized salts.
iodized salt. It's
Okay.
mandatorily fortified because of that, because we are not able to get this from foods because our soils have become depleted with iodine. So you
Oh,
can't, yeah, you can't source it from your normal foods. So that's the reason why. So universally this actually iron is, I mean, the salt is fortified with iodine. So that is the reason why now we are able to reduce that also to some extent, but still the requirement for you has to be met through iodized salt only, that you should be able to take that also. Don't avoid having this particular salt. You should be able to consume it every day, and the concentrations that have been put in that one also meet your requirements for daily requirements. That's how it has been calculated. So these are actually all over the world you find this type of deficiencies, and various government of India's initiatives we are able to reduce them to some extent. But of course, iron, as I said, that it continues to be a problem because of the poor quality diet that we have. Okay, so these are in addition now because of the poor quality of diet and also processed food that we are taking. So we are already we are able to see some new deficiencies which we are not able to see earlier. Okay, like vitamin B12. Okay, this is actually important for your nervous health, nerve health. Okay, so you can see the trembling of your hands, all that type of things can happen if vitamin B12 deficiency is there. And this is more so with the vegetarian diet. So of course it will be there in the milk, so you should be able to consume that more to get this particular B12, and this we are seeing it more these days. So you should be able to actually address that. For everything, the addressing all these micronutrient deficiencies essentially to have this highly diversified diet and also balanced diet. So these are very important. So I'm not specifically saying which food you should take, because if you have this diversified food, you should be able to get all those things in right quantities. The other than that B12 that we see also this vitamin D. This is
Yeah,
required. Yeah, vitamin
we,
D.
we
So
seem
yeah,
to be hearing quite
yeah,
often and
quite often because of
that there's a
this thing.
vitamin
Yeah, so this is actually you will not be able to see that obvious symptoms for this, but if you really check your bone strength, it will become very soft, because what happens is so that the bones are become very soft, and then they are prone for this thing, fractures. Okay,
deficiency.
once the fracture is there, then only people will be able to identify that the bone strength of this particular individual is not good enough. Okay, the other thing that we are saying is, of course, you get these things from milk and milk products mostly when you are talking about, and of course, fish and liver, all those things also will have. But the most other important thing is, because this vitamin D is synthesized in our body unexposed to sunlight. So we say that at least half an hour exposed to sunlight in a day, and this sunlight should be in the afternoon times, because you should have that sharp sunlight, not early morning sunlight or evening sunlight. So it should be around 12 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So that sunlight should be good enough to produce vitamin D. On sunlight, this thing in your skin, it is actually produced. So we'll also get from food also, but this is also equally important. Then along with that vitamin D, we also have a calcium deficiency. They are interlinked. So calcium is required for your bone health.
Mm.
Okay, so if there is a deficiency in your this thing, calcium in your blood circulation, so it will actually resorb from this your bone. So gradually it will reduce your calcium from your bone, so that becomes,
Oh,
yeah, fragile over a period of time. That,
automatically
yeah,
the bones become.
yeah, so that is the reason why we always suggest that you should have, and more so specifically for postmenopausal women, because the calcium requirements will go up. In fact, earlier also we should have told you about the, in case of iron also, especially for girls in the adolescent girls, and also during the postmenopausal, and also pregnancy, and also lactation. So your requirement of iron goes up drastically. So you lose more during that time. So you should intake should be much more compared to the normal human beings. Okay. So the after calcium, so there are some my trace elements that I told you, like, so iodine also is considered to be a trace elements.
Mhm.
And while calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, these are all minerals you need in little bigger quantities compared to the trace elements like iodine. It's you require in micrograms only. That is in milligrams. That's why they are called trace elements. So there are so many other elements which actually you don't we are not finding much deficiencies in that. That's why we are not highlighting that, but you should get them. If you are saying that we are not finding the deficiency, what it means is that you are getting that through your food.
Yeah,
Okay,
the current
but
pattern of food eating
food,
is
yeah, we are still not
still okay.
got into this one,
Mm.
but these are the major deficiencies. And essentially, when we are talking about these deficiencies, the mantra is only having the highly diversified food, because as I we have discussed earlier, some in earlier episode also, each food has a unique composition.
Mm.
Okay, so that's why if you get the diversified diet, you will be able to get all these nutrients. That's why it's my plate. I have shown earlier my plate, where you see all types of foods are should be part of your diets, and most of them should be in the minimally processed. Not processed foods. When we are talking about a balanced diet, it is essentially minimally processed diet, and which will have all these vitamins and minerals in good quantity, so that you will not get into any deficiency.
Doctor, what could be the usual food which we should include so that there is sufficient amount of vitamin and?
Yeah,
minerals.
so green leafy vegetables and fruits are actually we our consumption is very low. So these are the things which give a lot of these vitamins and minerals.
Mm.
So when you actually have the cereals like rice and also wheat, so there you get a lot of carbohydrate, so little bit of protein
Correct. Mm.
and little bit of fat. But these leafy vegetables and these tubers also, and also the fruits, okay, these are the actually reservoirs of vitamins and minerals. That's the reason why we say that you should have enough of those things, which right now we are not having enough of it. So that's the reason why are getting into this deficiency diseases.
Okay. And just as common people, as a general just to understand when we have any kind of deficiencies, what would be the kind of indications that could come up, wherein somebody needs to become alert and go and check, do we really have any kind of deficiency?
Yeah, I see either vitamin B12 or folic acid also, which is also related to iron deficiency. They are interrelated. So first thing is you see that you are actually the fatigue you just see, and they become very weak. Okay, their outputs come down. They look they are lazy enough. They don't actively participate in things, so they become like that. And of course, overall output of any work you are actually you can just see that they are not doing enough.
Mm.
So these are all. That's the reason why you see we say they are subclinical cases. If you supposing if I say that vitamin A deficiency is there, then you can just see that night blindness or problems with the vision. It's very obvious for a person.
Mm.
Okay, but if it is subclinical, you don't see those things, but your immunity is actually affected. So you are more
Compromise.
prone for diseases very easily.
Mm.
That's why we call them as these are the insurance against all the diseases, infectious diseases, and also NCDs, non-communicable diseases.
Mm.
Okay, so that's the reason why we should actually concentrate on it. So most of the processed food actually divide of these things during the
Mm.
processing itself. When I am talking about processing, I am talking about tertiary processing. You know, that means you have multi-ingredient products and also a lot of additives and all those things are added, and they are mostly ready to eat or ready to cook. So there, so these vitamins and minerals are lost during the processing. That's why we call it a primary processing is that what you do at home, like so if you're getting a
Cooking
fresh,
rice.
yeah, fresh milk,
Huh.
you boil it.
Yeah.
Okay, actually pasteurization is ideal, but at home level you can't do that, so you have to do you boil it so that you make it safe. So this processing is a must. So if you don't do that boiling, there is every chance that salmonella typhoid is a major problem if
Mm-hmm.
you are actually you're not boiling the milk and still continue to consume
Mm-hmm.
without any treatment. So this primary processing is required. So also, if supposing I am talking about rice, paddy, rice, so the once from the paddy you just process it and make it rice, and then rice also you can't consume directly. You have to cook.
It has to be good.
So that process is essential. So that you cannot avoid. But whereas when we are talking about fruits and vegetables, some of them as a green salad you can take without doing anything except washing, and also fruits you can directly consume after washing, so there is no need to do any cooking there. Okay, so all these things are actually the way you are supposed to be consuming the fresh foods. If you do that, you get a lot of these vitamins and minerals.
Okay. So, and yeah, like you pointed out, you tend to see people becoming lazy, and it is misunderstood as okay, they're not ready to do some work or they're not ready to study,
Yeah,
things
so
like
yeah,
that.
yeah. So the activity level comes down because of the deficiency. That's what I was trying to say. Your productivity or overall energy to do
Yeah, I think,
any, yeah.
yeah, a long period of something like this should be an indication for somebody to go and check uh,
Yeah, so
for their
ideally we suggest you to, because these days the packages are available, so you get randomly checked for your the vitamins like vitamin B12, calcium,
Hmm.
okay, vitamin D, okay, iron. Any hemoglobin is a very common thing that they do actually,
Yeah.
okay. So you should check for that and try to do the corrective measures. It's essentially to have a proper diet only.
Okay. Like it's always said, they are actually our immunity boosters.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, that's what I said. It's insurance against having these diseases. It will protect you from having the infectious diseases, also NCDs, non-communicable diseases also.
okay. Is there
So
anything different for different age groups, doctor, in terms of?
yeah, yeah, that's what I told you. Know that when I was trying to tell you that iron deficiency, children, infants, children, they are more prone for that. So also the adolescent girls,
Hmm.
and also during pregnancy, that's why we give iron folic acid tablets also for
Yes.
them. Yeah.
Hmm.
So also during lactation, because they need extra for the child also. So these are more prone. But otherwise, even other people also do have this deficiency because of the poor quality of diet. And okay, so that's how it has to be. So they are more prone for that. So also when I am talking about calcium, so you can see the effects, like the muscle spasm, other things you just see because of the calcium deficiency.
Joint pains are quite
Yeah,
common.
yeah. And then of course, now of course after people who are 50 plus also, you can see more fractures these days. So they are prone for fractures. So you just fall. Somebody falls, if their bone strength is good, they don't. Their bones are not fractured. But the people who are bones are soft and
Hmm.
also brittle because of the calcium deficiency, they just easily get cracked. So that's how it happens. So though, that's why they are called silent diseases.
So I think it all boils down to taking preventive measures by having the right kind of diet.
Yeah, yeah. So
Uh,
now you see the concept all over the world is that don't go into having supplements or anything. See your and second thing is, I'll tell you, we also work on supplements also. The supplements are purified compounds of one compound itself. Supposing if vitamin A, it will have only vitamin A. But if you take a fruit,
hmm.
okay, so you get beta carotene, that is the precursor. Along with that, you get huge number of other bioactive compounds which are very good for your health. So
They're more wholesome.
that is the reason why we always suggest you to don't go to the whenever you find some deficiency, don't go for supplements.
Hmm.
It's always better to have your diet as a major source of nutrients rather than these tablets or capsules. Okay,
Yeah.
those things can be taken only in severe cases where actually there is a medical intervention is required, but not for normal people.
Hmm. The normal ones, obviously, it is the focus of
Yeah.
diet.
So
That
yeah, even the government India policies, I mean that fortification programs also for limited period. They are actually not for life. They are actually temporary measures to actually improve your this thing. But you should come back to your diet. So
I
you should
think,
don't. Yeah.
the traditional diet that we've been following in India is definitely in on the same lines as what you're asking
Yeah, yeah. So that's
people
what
to
now
do.
people have realized that
Hmm.
thali, the traditional thali with all sorts of things in your thali is actually more close to your balanced diet than having a pizza, burger, or one chapati or something like that. So which are actually hardly one or two ingredients only will be there. But when you have a thali, so you have everything in that, including milk, curd, milk product. Okay, so curry, leafy vegetables, everything will be there in that. Besides rice, dal is there. So
Hmm.
all the essential micronutrients and macronutrients you get in the standard thali. I'm not talking about when I'm talking about thali. I'm not talking about the hotel menu.
Hmm.
I'm talking about what traditionally we used to have as a thali.
Yeah, like
Yes.
when you think of it, like what we have seen when we go to the villages,
Yes.
multiple, like you rightly pointed out, there will be curd, there is leafy vegetables,
Yeah.
dal,
Curry. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
bit of
Dal.
ghee, there
Yes.
is rice. So I think when each of the meal have all the components, that itself should be an easy way to avoid any kind of
Deficiency.
deficiency.
Yeah.
I'll just check if we have a questions, doctor. Yeah. The first question is: can lack of vitamin also be one of the cause for restless leg syndrome?
I have not heard of this syndrome at all, but maybe I have to
Mm.
check. Uh, I'm not sure. I cannot answer right now because I have not checked on that.
Yeah, okay. I think because maybe it is to do with what you spoke about B12 deficiencies,
Yeah,
where
B12 density, that tingling sensation, that is because it affects your nerves. The
Mhm.
nerve health is affected if your B12 this thing is there. That you just say. That's why this tingling sensation is because your nerves endings are
yeah,
not.
so which again is actually
Yeah, yeah. But this restless leg, I'm not very sure about it. I can't
okay.
say that. But it is anything to do with your neurological problem.
Okay. There's another thing for people who stay in hostels and don't have option of cooking. What kind of food can be consumed to replace excessive intake of carbs?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, now what we are saying is that the government of India, the hostel messes also come under FSSAI licensing, so they have to get license. And
Okay.
also there is menus are given for this hostels. Of course, if they are working women hostels, that is different. I am not talking about that. I am talking about the school and college hostels.
Hmm.
Their menu is fixed based on their requirements only. They are supposed to give every week the ration according to their this one, nutritional requirements.
Okay.
But if it is actually like working men's hostel or that type of things, that is entirely private.
Hmm. So
So
there's
there,
no
we cannot suggest anything unless the hostel mates themselves demand that they require these things, and based on that, they can have a menu. That menu can be prepared by themselves.
Hmm.
But
So,
when I am talking, when the question that probably they have asked in schools and this colleges, that menu is based on the nutritional requirements only.
okay. So there is already a mandatory requirement that they should follow so as
Yeah,
to.
yes, yes, yeah. So
Okay.
that's why that school lunch program, this ICD, so many programs are there. They are actually based on the requirements,
Okay.
of your nutritional requirements.
So so that's a lot of useful information. And again, uh, and one more session where you have clearly emphasized that it is the diet, one mantra, just make the diet correct.
Yeah, yeah, that's what. So you need not have to check. See, though I told you that there are some 30, like vitamins, minerals. They all put together around 30 are
Yeah.
required in the micro quantities. So these things individually, if you want to see which is rich, like iron rich, B12 rich, and calcium rich, you should not look at that. If you take the balanced diet, everything is taken care. So we'll be telling same thing. Supposing if I say calcium, we say that milk and milk products, or liver, or
Hmm.
fish, and it rounds. So green leafy vegetables are very rich in iron.
Hmm.
But we are not looking independently those things. No, you should be part of total diet.
Total diet.
If you are taking that balanced diet, it is taken care of all those things. And
Everything.
essentially, what we are telling the this is rich and that is rich is a part of your diet only.
Hmm.
Okay. So when I'm saying that green leafy vegetables, they give you that iron,
Yes.
or a liver, or egg, even milk. So all those things will have the same thing.
Yeah. I
So when
think
we are actually
particularly.
academically, if you are discussing, if somebody wants to know which food is rich in which vitamin, that is different. We are
Hmm.
not talking academics here. We are only giving you practical solution to your problems.
Hmm.
So diversified diet means the raw material should not be same. Yes, we have discussed. So you
Hmm.
can have with wheat flour, you can have roti, you can have puri, you can have so many other these things. So the essentially there is no dietary diversification. You are essentially taking
Huh.
only wheat.
So that's not actually a
Yeah. So don't.
diversification
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
real means. It's only
Yes. So
diversified way of cooking.
yes. So and the recipes are different, but one thing. So you should have millets as part of, other than wheat and rice. You should also have millet. Millet also can be as good as a cereal in terms of your quantity consumption, and you can also make almost like rice.
Yeah.
So we are not saying that you should have everyday millet. What we are saying is your weekly diet. One day you should have that. One day, so like that you can actually diversify.
Thank you so much, Doctor, for
Yeah,
the valuable information, and I thank the viewers for being part of the session.
yeah.
Good evening
Thank
and
you.
namaste.